All right, Shabbosai, good morning. Let us begin. So we are picking up in Be'er Hashem, continuing in the Be'er Hachaim a little bit this morning. So we're going to pick up in the footnote on page Beis. So on page Beis, on the footnote in the bottom there, footnote Gimel. So if you remember again, we were learning in the Be'er Hachaim this beautiful piece. I think it's a truly beautiful piece about the Avoda HaPshuta, the simple Avoda of Chodesh Nisan, is the Avoda of Hischatshus, the Avoda of renewal. The obligation to sometimes go ahead and forget the past, and go ahead and focus on my present future. So he writes over here, in footnote Gimel, Hagon Rav Chaim Rabbi Zalman Brazil Zal Hayim Mefarish Pederach Halotza Divrei Chazal. So I thought this was a beautiful interpretation that serves to reinforce this point. The Gemara Maseches Brachas says, this is page Beis in the handout, footnote Gimel. Kala Omer Tehillah LeDavid B'chol Yom Shalosh Panim Muftach Lo Shehu Ben Olam Haba. Very interesting Gemara. A person who says Ashrei, if this Tehillah David, Ashrei 3 times a day, is guaranteed that he's going to Olam Haba. Now, the Gemara Maseches Brachas has a couple of lines like this. If you do this, you are guaranteed to go to the world to come. So just he shouldn't send there Dva comments on this. He says, what? Like the Gemara says, Kala Somich Gula L'Tfila, right? If you juxtapose the bracha of Gal Yisrael to Shmona Esrei, so you are guaranteed to go to the world to come. So the Ritva asks, and says, really, that's it? That's it? All you have to do is say Ashrei 3 times a day, and you have a portion of the world to come. All you have to do is say Bi Somekul L'Tfila, and you're going to the world to come. So the way the Ritva interprets it is, he says, whoever does this thing, right, in addition to many other wonderful things. So if you say Ashrei 3 times a day, in addition to living a very virtuous and pious life in a number of other ways, then you're going to go to Olam Haba. So it's not, the Gemara is just highlighting that this is an important thing, but not saying this is the only thing. But nevertheless, you could take the statement of the Gemara at its face value as well. Including what Chazal are saying is that there's a power to saying Ashrei 3 times a day. So what's the pshat? They say something amazing. V'ayin sham b'Gemara, shebiru taima de milsa. So remember again, the Gemara says, remember, why is Ashrei so significant? Because Ashrei goes through the entire order of the Aleph base, with certain exceptions that the Gemara points out, and that's the profundity. It's a praise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, utilizing virtually the entire alphabet, and that's the power of Ashrei. Good. However, he goes on, he says, Shivim Panim LaTorah, but the beauty of our Torah is there are many different interpretations. Ve'efshar lomar, ki anu mesaymin perek zeh bepasuk. Remember, how do we end Ashrei? We'll say this is such a profound statement. Va'anachnu nivarech ka, me'ata v'yad olam hallelujah. Like, literally again, we will praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu from now and for all eternity. May Hashem be blessed. Listen to this. V'yesh kidai lahaskir la'adam tamid inyan me'ata. The point of the pasuk is to focus us on me'ata, to focus us on the present. Lehistakia rak merega zeh v'ad olam v'lo al ha'avar chas v'shalom. Rabbi said this is such a profound insight. Do you want to know the power of Ashrei? The power of Ashrei is contained in the last line. V'anachnu nevarecha. What is the greatest praise you can give to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? To live a life that is me'ata v'ad olam. Live a life that is focused on your present through your future. Don't live in your past. Don't focus or lose yourself in the mistake, wallowing in the pity of the mistakes and the missteps of the past. The greatest praise you could give the Ribono Shalom, v'anachnu nevarechka. How do you bless the Ribono Shalom? Live a life of me'ata v'ad olam. Hallelujah. That's how you bless the Ribono Shalom. I will say such an incredibly profound idea. He says, "Va'avar ayin ukahagavna muftach lo shehu ben olam haba." I'm sorry. Me'ata listaka rak merega zeh v'ad olam v'lo ala avar chas v'shalom. Don't live in your past, but rather focus your life me'ata from this moment forward. And a person who lives like this, ukahagavna, last line of that footnote, muftach lo shehu ben olam haba. Person who lives like that is a true ben olam haba. Mipnei shelo yisrash shali olam me'avodaso. Because when a person focuses his life from his present to his future, and does not lose himself in his past, such an individual is muftach lo shehu ben olam haba, is promised that he will lead a meaningful and productive life. Well, so I just want to mention, let's go on a little bit. I'll just show you another idea. Actually, before we move on, let's say, obviously, the Mechaber is not suggesting that we totally forget our past in totality, right? Meaning, acknowledging your past, learning from your past is incredibly important. But what he's saying is not becoming fixated, rooted, or obsessed with your past. Some people can't get over their past. I can't get over my past mistakes, and it prevents me from moving forward. So of course, life is here. He's focusing on Nissan. That Nissan, the hischachus of Nissan is me'ata v'ad olam. From now until the future. That's it. The past is the past. Now is my opportunity. So the Be'er Hachaim, in another place, in one of his essays on the Parshias, he says something great. He gives such a great mashal. He says, imagine for a moment, he's like driving, right? When you drive. So he says, imagine for a moment, a person decides to drive just with their rear view mirror. Right? The whole time you're driving, all you do is you look in the rear view mirror. You would say that's irresponsible. That's absolutely reckless. You can't drive the entire time in life. Look, nobody looks in the rear view mirror anymore. Your backup camera, right? You can't go and live your life looking in the rear view mirror the entire time. But yet, if you never look in the rear view mirror, that's reckless also. So life is this incredible synthesis. You see, 95% of the time, your focus has to be on the road ahead. Otherwise, chas v'shalom, you can get into an accident. But every once in a while, you definitely have to check the rear view mirror to see what's happening as well. It's the metaphor for life. Of course, you have to check the rear view mirror. You have to learn from your past. You have to grow from your past. I have to recognize the mistakes of my past. Otherwise, I'm doomed to repeat them. But the overwhelming majority of my time and effort must be focused me'ata v'ad olam, on the road that is in front of me now and on the road that will be in front of me in the future. An incredible yisod. See, goes on, if you skip a little bit to page Dalid. So we'll say, so now that we understand, according to the Be'er Hachaim, that the avoda hapshuta, the simple avoda of Chodesh Nisan, is the avoda of hischachos, the avoda of renewal. So on page Dalid, in the left-hand paragraph, on top, last two lines of the left-hand paragraph, Uma'od yesh lehisboni. You see where that is? Uma'od. I don't think I underlined it in the sheets. But uma'od yesh lehisboni b'lashon kadsho shel asvas emes. So here the Be'er Hachaim quotes this Sfas Emes in such a beautiful piece. He goes on to page Hey. Top of page Hey, the top part, right-hand column. So he quotes here the Sfas Emes who says, As Binyan zeh, shetzarich ha'adam lehis orer la'ahavaso yisparach shemo. Bir oso es kol hatov v'achesed she'HaKadosh Baruch Hu gomel imo b'chol is u'b'chol shah. So now he quotes over here the Sfas Emes. So we'll say something amazing happens. So step one of Chodesh Nisan, step one of Chodesh, page Hey. Step one of, you have a mesh? It says Hey on the top left corner. So he says over here, it could be that those pages are two to a page. Okay? So he says over here as follows. Once I transition into Chodesh Nisan being this hischadshus, this renewal, so something else happens. A person is overwhelmed. A person has this orus, an awakening, with love for the Ribono Shel Olam. Bir osa es kalato v'achesed she'HaKadosh Baruch Hu gomel imo b'chol is b'chol shah. When I begin to see the incredible good that the Ribono Shel Olam does with me and for me. Ube'emes, eitzeh ha'yeutza halitchos machshavos raos, hurak zeh, lihios hislavus tamid becheshek uberatzon la'avodaso yisparach. Umemela yispatlu kol ha'avalim. So we'll say this is incredibly beautiful. So the Rebbe says, now the Rabbi Chaim says there's now a progression. Step one is hischachos. Nisan is a month of renewal, new beginnings. I'm not looking in the rearview mirror. Me'ata vi'ad olam halaluka. I'm focusing present into the future. The Rebbe says something amazing happens when you focus on your present. What happens? You begin to see all the brachos you have. you begin to see how incredible life is. Again, we'll say, not that I don't recognize my challenges. I recognize my challenges, and certainly some of those challenges are incredibly overwhelming. But when a person focuses on the present, the Be'er Hachaim suggests, he says that at the end of the day, there is a certain recognition of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given me. And when I begin to see the brachos that exist in my present life, he says there is a hislavos. There is a certain level of awakening, a certain excitement, a certain passion that is engendered. Umemela yispatlu kol ha'avolim. V'zeh avodas ha'adam tamid kol hayom v'halayla. Dekim mitzos below hislavos pnimis be'ish kodesh lo sagya. So we'll say this is truly beautiful. See, he says over here that once I focus on my present, I begin to see all of the beautiful blessings I have in my life. And once I begin to see all of the beautiful blessings I possess, there is a certain excitement and passion that is engendered. Suddenly, life becomes exciting. Suddenly, life is filled with opportunity. Suddenly, again, there is so much bracha right in front of me every single moment. And suddenly, a spark is lit regarding my Yiddishkeit, and a spark is lit regarding the way that I live. We'll say, I know we're going over time. I just want to show you one last thing, then we'll stop for today. Look at footnote Vav. This is great. Mashalo mashlama daradora. We'll say, give you a mashal. What's the mashal? Le'echad shekane ya'ar gadol kedei livnos sham ayara gedola. Let's say a person went ahead and bought a forest, right? Mirz Hashem bayu, right? To buy a forest in order to build a city. Okay. So also I bought the forest. I want to clear it. I want to make a new housing development. So what do I have to do? I have to clear the trees. Okay, so I wake up early in the morning, right? And I start chopping down trees. Beautiful. From morning till evening I'm working. Avru alav kama yamim. It's page above. V'hinei hu roa shelo karas kim kama him. Here's the problem. I'm working morning to evening. But I realized, through a whole day's work, I only cut down a couple of trees. There's a whole forest, I only cut down a couple of trees. So now I realize I could live 1,000 years and I'm not going to cut down all the trees in the forest. Listen to this. So a chacham sees me chopping trees, and he says, you know what? V'etzila eitza pshuta. And he gives me a very simple eitza. Sheyadlik eish b'ktzei hayar, va'etz tispashit v'tisrof es kol ha'etzim, va'az yuchal ha'haschel miyad ba'avodas ha'binyan shal ha'batim, va'adiros ha'chadashos. So we'll say, so somebody sees me chopping trees, he says, nebuch. I mean, it would be a nebuch if you saw me chopping trees. That's the truth. I'm sure I would not be good at it. But at Lamaisa, so the Chacham comes and says, here's the eitzah. What's the eitzah? We'll say, what's the eitzah? Light a fire. Just light a fire. Right? Just start a forest fire. And all you need to do is one little spark, controlled fire. Right? One little spark. You'll burn down the entire forest in a couple of hours, maybe a couple of days, whatever it might be. But Lamais, if you're chopping down each tree, you're going to go ahead, it's going to take you 1,000 years. But you light a fire, it could go ahead and take down everything. And listen to what the Be'er Hachaim says. V'anim shal muvan me'elav. She'akadosh Baruch Hu nasan la'adam taryag mitzvos. Ach tzarech levara kotzim v'achochem shevaliba shal adam. V'im yilakid v'ya'akar echad lo yatzliach lehasvik mu'uma. So what's that? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a forest. It's called taryag mitzvos. And my job is to try to get through the forest. The problem just is, there's so many times in life, there's so many obstacles. Right? So many times in life, there's so many personal obstacles that are preventing me from self-actualizing and living the life I need to live and doing the mitzvahs I need to do. So what do? If I start going ahead and taking down every tree of Yetzer Hara and every tree of Aveira and every tree of obstacle, I could spend a lifetime taking down trees. Ve'ein eitza kim lahadlik belibo es ish ahislavos. Said Rabbi said there's only one eitzah to be a successful Jew. Light your fire. Light your fire. Kindle your spark of inspiration. And if you kindle your one spark of inspiration, one spark could take down a whole forest of obstacles. One spark of hislavos could take down an entire forest of obstacles. The fire spreads like no one's business. And all the obstacles suddenly connect. So we have to stop over here, but just understand what a profound idea this is. So if we bring this all together very quickly, the Rebbe says the avoda pshuta, the simple avoda of Nisan is ischachos, renewal, me'ata vi'ad olam. Focus on the road ahead with very minimal attention to the rear view mirror. The Rebbe says, once I do that, I'm endowed with a renewed appreciation for the present. And I begin to see all of the brachos that I have in life, all of the opportunities I have in life, which then means that my heart is filled with a love and a passion for the Ribono Shalom. I will say that love and passion sometimes is the very spark I need to burn down a forest of obstacles. Sometimes all you need to do in life is just light that spark. And once you do so, the obstacles come down and accomplishment becomes possible. All right, we'll stop over, we'll pick up Mirza Hashem, and we'll see what we're going to do tomorrow, Mirza Hashem. Stay tuned. Shkoyach.